Welcome to Awesome Movie Year, the podcast where we take a look back at an awesome year for movies, which is every year. I'm Josh Bell, film critic and writer, and I'm joined by my co-host.
I'm Jason Harris, filmmaker, comedian, and I want to do this podcast with you, Josh. I know you feel it too. Tell me you want to do the podcast with me. Tell me you feel the same way about podcasting with me.
It's true. I can't deny it. I also want to do the podcast. It's happening. We're going to defy all the conventions of society and talk about the films of 1946, and in particular, one of the winners of the Cannes Film Festival, Brief Encounter, from director David Lean, based on the play by Noel Coward, in which two people have a brief, illicit affair and feel.
Oh, do they? I mean, an emotional affair, perhaps.
Well, they kiss, definitely, at least.
Yeah.
So that's something.
This whole season in 1946 could have just been winners of Cannes.
Yes, that is true. This was the first year that the Cannes Film Festival actually happened. As we talked about in our 1941 season, that was initially meant to be the first year of Cannes, and it was planned. There was a lineup. There was, I believe, we talked about there was one opening night screening, and then Germany invaded Poland, I believe, is what happened. And or was that in 41 or 39? See, now I'm confusing myself. Actually, I think that was in 39.
I would guess 39.
Yeah. I'm getting my history all mixed up, because we did the movie. We did Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. That would have potentially been the winner at that year, but the festival did not actually happen. And yeah, 1939. Sorry, my bad. I should have remembered my World War II history.
Well, one of the things I was reading about this Cannes Film Festival, besides 11 winners, is they showed Notorious, the great Hitchcock movie, and they showed the reels in reverse. And it's got one of the all-time great ending shots in film history. So if you saw that first, like what a terrible way to showcase any movie, obviously, but man, what a bummer. Imagine that you're seeing the reveal of The Sixth Sense as the first scene. You know what I mean? So this Notorious should have definitely been in that list. You can't tell me there were 11 better movies than Notorious at the Cannes Film Festival.
Yeah, and it was not one of the winners. So yeah, a bit of a bumpy start for Cannes, which again was put on hold because of the war, and actually launched in 1946. And it was the Grand Prix. It was not yet called the Palme d'Or, but they decided to give it to 11 films as a tie. And we kind of looked through them and decided we would give our episode to this one. Certainly beyond just Cannes, a notable film, a highly influential film, beloved, and from a major director here that we've not talked about, David Lean.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I was going for it. I mean, Billy Wilder had The Lost Weekend, and Roberto Rossellini was in there. So some heavy hitters, but I just felt like we should talk about David Lean. And we're all such romantics, Josh, that I feel like we had to get there. So.
We are such idealists. Although I would say, I mean, this movie is romantic, but it's not necessarily. I mean, it's kind of cynical in a way, right? I mean, this is, instead of these people who love each other being able to work past their obstacles to be together, it's all about how that isn't possible. So, this is sort of a cynical movie in a way.
I mean, not the first movie like this we've covered in British cinema. I think of The Go-Between as another example of that.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I mean, and there's a lot of the whole stiff upper lip thing going on here, and The Go-Between was more about class differences, but this is, of course, about the idea of you don't get divorced, you don't leave your spouse. People don't do that. Like, you committed to this, and that's what your life is, and it doesn't matter that you met someone else who you're more passionate about. It doesn't matter what your life with that person could be like. This is the path you're on, and you stick with it no matter what.
Yeah, the good old days.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is based on the one-act play that was titled Still Life by Noel Coward, and it was the fourth film that Noel Coward and David Lean collaborated on adapting his stage productions after In Which We Serve, This Happy Breed, and Blithe Spirit, which I have seen Blithe Spirit, and is kind of fun. And it was a success, both critically and commercially. It won that award at Cannes. It was the 21st most popular movie at the British box office. I don't know exact numbers on that. Supposedly, it was an even bigger hit in the US, but it did have a budget of between 1 and 1.4 million, which seems a little high for this period for this kind of movie. But that's just people sort of sitting around and talking. But it was filmed while the war was still going on. So they had to kind of work around troop movements or things like that at these train stations. So that may have made it more difficult.
I mean, the train station is like iconic. It looks so great, right? Like it's as good as any of like Murder on the Orient Express or any of the big kind of train station-y movies, Josh, which is not even a subgenre. I'll take The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3 in there. But I mean, when you talked about the budget, I was like, it looks so good, this movie. So all the money was put to use.
It does. I mean, they have talent here, whether it's Noel Coward, who, of course, was a very famous playwright at this point, Lean himself, the cinematography, all the production design and everything looks beautiful. The actors. It was nominated for 3 Oscars, Best Director for David Lean, Best Actress for Celia Johnson, and Best Adapted Screenplay. Celia Johnson and Trevor Howard play the 2 married people who have a chance meeting in the refreshment room of the train station and embark on this short affair. It's only like, what does she say, a few weeks, I think, at one point. It's maybe a month and a half at most, and then they feel all their passion, and then it's gone.
You know what they're trying to refresh, Josh? That ass.
Yeah, it's dialogue like that makes this film a classic.
Yeah. Well, Noel Coward was always kind of running rings around people with dialogue about that ass.
Yes, that is exactly the way Noel Coward writes. So critics were quite positive about this as well. Bosley Crowther in the New York Times said, "An uncommonly good little picture, and one which is frankly designed to appeal to that group of filmgoers who are provoked by the, quote, usual movie tripe, is the British-made Brief Encounter. Being no more than an expansion of one of Noel Coward's one-act plays, it is plainly an intimate drama, limited in every respect to the brief and extremely poignant romance of a married woman and a married man. There are obvious flaws in the story. The desperate affection of the two develops a great deal more rapidly than the circumstances would seem to justify. And the cheerful obtuseness of the lady's husband is more accommodating than one would expect. But the whole thing has been presented in such a delicate and affecting way, and with such complete naturalness in characterization and fidelity to middle-class detail, that those slight discrepancies in logic may be easily allowed."
Well, I do agree that, the kind of just not noticing what's going on of the husband, you could criticize that. But I don't think you could say that the two couldn't have developed this intense, emotional, romantic bond as quickly as they did. I think that's totally viable.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's also weird to me because in films of this period, people always fall in love super, super quickly. And it's just sort of a convention. And it's in part because of the production code, and they can't show them doing anything like premarital or whatever. So they have to declare their intentions before they can actually engage in any physical activity. And this movie, I thought, contrasted that because you spend a lot of time seeing them kind of get to know each other and develop these feelings over the course of the movie, even if it's only over the course of a short period of chronological time. So yeah, I also feel like the husband is, especially in that final scene, I think you're meant to realize that he understands what's going on here. And he's got the whole stiff upper lip thing going too, that he has to just be like, all right, well, you work things out there with your lover, and I'll be here waiting for you. And then he's happy at the end when he believes that she's come back to him. So I think it's all just that kind of British middle class repression going on.
Well, there's definitely a lot of British middle class repression. Unfortunately, when you just talked about the husband, you repressed your excellent upper crust British accent that I know you can do.
I definitely cannot.
But I didn't get that. I mean, I do see what you're saying now, that could have been, he could have known. I didn't get that. But either way, it's fine.
I mean, didn't you see that in the last scene when he gives her that hug and he's like, thank you for coming back to me? Like, what else would he be saying there?
I mean, he's a husband that is he oblivious to what's going on? Does he just think that she's going through depression or women problems, quote unquote, right? Like, who knows? I don't know. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I didn't get that.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I guess he could have just thought that she was distracted or depressed or something. But to me, like, especially coming back, it's like maybe he doesn't know the details, but he feels like something is going on. And of course, she tells him at one point, like after the first meeting, she's like, oh, I had lunch with this nice man that I met and we went to the movies. And he's like, oh, that sounds nice.
Yeah. I mean,
maybe he's oblivious.
Yeah, no, what you're saying tracks. The other thing is, when you're talking about like this kind of repressed, we must follow the social mores of the time. She had it even harder than he did because, with her, it's the two kids and it's she's a woman. In a way, it reminded me of Out of Africa in some ways where we were talking about things like that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and you could imagine that even though they both decide we have to stay with our spouses and our children, that for a man, it would have been easier to say, oh, I'm going to leave my family and start a new relationship, a new family, especially if she had been, single and he had been married. It would have been a lot more possible, one would imagine, for him to leave his family or for him to just say, oh, I'm just going to have a long-term affair and have a mistress. Like that was also more accepted, but she has fewer options. That's definitely true.
I need a mistress, but I'd call her my Gumar.
All right. Such a tantalizing offer for anyone listening.
First, I got to find someone to get into a relationship with, and then I got to find another someone for a side piece.
Oh, man, you got to find two people. That's tough. I don't know if you can do that.
I can't even find one.
One at a time, maybe. Try it that way.
Dave, you got a side piece?
Let's move on to the next segment here.
Yeah. So Variety, in their unbyline review, said, even Brooklyn may be willing to overlook Noel Coward rather than miss this intelligent, gripping treatment of the eternal triangle. Brief Encounter does more for Noel Coward's reputation as a skilled film producer than In Which We Serve. His use of express trains thundering through a village station, coupled with frantic last-minute dashes for local trains, is only one of the clever touches masking the inherent static quality of the drama. Brief Encounter may strike some exhibitors as being too brief, but every one of its 85 minutes is packed tight with interest-compelling incident.
So, I mean, obviously, we're all fans of short movies like this. That's great,
Yes,
I'm certainly not taking anything away from the legendary Noel Coward, but I do find it odd that they didn't credit David Lean for those aspects of the film.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess maybe Noel Coward was a big name, and I was trying to parse what they mean at the beginning when they say even Brooklyn may be willing to overlook Noel Coward. Like, I guess maybe the idea that he's got this impression as some sort of like highbrow British, playwright, and then the mooks in Brooklyn wouldn't go for that. But this
Unreal.
is the kind of movie that they would.
Insulting.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not really sure what they're trying to say there, but I mean, I think he was a bigger name. And the first movie that he made with David Lean, he's actually credited as co-director, and then Lean is the sole director on the rest of them. So, he hadn't become as big a name as he would later with some of his even more famous films, or even just after this came out and was such a success and he got an Oscar nomination and all that. So I don't know. But yeah, Noel Coward is the bigger name here, I think.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I mean, still, people know what a director does.
True. And certainly Variety does as well. There was, I'm sure there was a I didn't, that's not the whole review. I'm sure there was a reference elsewhere that's just wasn't part of what I quoted.
Yeah. Was there like another part of it? Like, even the Jamokes in Queens could get up behind this thing.
Not quite. I mean, I assume that's what they mean, but so you never know. Sometimes there's very era specific references that fly over my head when I read these old reviews. So I'm not really sure. That was my guess on that. So I figured we should get at least one British review since this is a British film. So Celia Johnson in The Observer said, Noel Coward's brief encounter is, to my mind, not only the most mature work Mr. Coward has yet prepared for the cinema, but one of the most emotionally honest and deeply satisfactory films that have ever been made in this country. I doubt very much if it will be generally popular. It represents a confidence so utterly frank that few people will be simple enough to accept it as true. The film has the benefit of 3 beautiful performances: Celia Johnson's as the wife, Trevor Howard's as the lover, and Cyril Raymond's as the husband. The sweetness, the sobriety, and the fresh delicacy of these performers prevents the film from ever becoming sordid.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because is it too short? Will people like it? It's become one of the most beloved and enduring romantic movies of all time, right? And I think it's that they've done such a good job of like expressing that longing for each other.
Yeah, I mean, it's always interesting to me to see these reviews of movies that are like now renowned classics and the critics saying like, I don't think anybody's going to want to see this movie. But yeah, I mean, I think the simplicity of it is what is makes it appealing. That I don't know if people are going to go to this movie expecting it to be about like, train crashes or something. It's basic, but it's honest, as she says. Sweet, and the sobriety of it, the kind of purity of it is good. And again, here, like you said, I didn't even notice this, but as you pointed out, she's just crediting Noel Coward here, and not necessarily mentioning. I mean, there is more to the review that I didn't quote, and I'm sure David Lean gets mentioned. But when they're initially saying whose film this is, it's Noel Coward's film rather than David Lean's.
Yeah, and it's interesting because the Lean got the best actor, a best director nod, and like you said, but there was no best picture or anything, or even well, there was the adapted screenplay. So
yeah,
Coward
there
got
was
his nod too. Yeah, so.
yeah, there was the adapted screenplay nomination, and both Coward and Lean are credited as screenwriters on this, so they would have both gotten the nomination for that.
So you said Still Life is a one act from 1936. It was one of 10 short plays in the cycle Tonight at 8:30, designed for Gertrude Lawrence and Coward, to be performed in various combinations as a triple bill. And all the scenes are set in the refreshment room of the railway station.
Yeah, so I mean, that's another thing you have to credit David Lean for, where they really expand on this to where I think you can see how this would have had its origins as a play, but it doesn't feel stage bound. We have all these scenes where they go to all sorts of different places. We have the narration, which I thought worked really well. I know sometimes people get annoyed at excessive narration because it's like, oh, this isn't cinematic, or you got to show or not tell. But I felt like it offered real insight into Celia Johnson's character. And I like that she framed it as if she was confessing to the husband, even though she never says any of that out loud. And all of that comes from the adaptation.
One thing I had read, and I hadn't even considered this, but they had said it was like from Robert Altman's wife, right? And they were like, we went to see the movie, and Robert Altman sees Celia Johnson, and he's like, she's not a beauty, this or that. And then within 20 minutes, he's crying because of how affecting the performances are. But I think it's good that they cast someone who's not the classical, kind of leading lady archetype. Like it lended realness to the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, that was something that I really appreciated. And these were both Celia Johnson and Trevor Howard. I mean, they were very successful actors for long periods of time. And I'm sure they looked glamorous in other films, but they definitely kind of de-glamorize them, or just make them look real, like you said. But it's not like, oh, look at these like hideous old people or something like
these
that.
These uggos.
Right, exactly. It's not that at all. It's like, here are people who look like people that you might pass in the train station. And I appreciated that. And as I noted on Letterboxd, and Dave was shocked by, I thought, they cast these real middle-aged people. When they made this film, Celia Johnson was 37 and Trevor Howard was 32. So people, aging differently back then.
What a cradle robber.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So, and maybe they even made them look a little older or frumpier than they would normally look, but it's not in a distracting way. It's not like some movie now where you see some ridiculous, glamorous movie star who puts on makeup to make them look unattractive. And it's very obvious that none of it is like that at all.
Like who?
I don't know. I mean, this is not a good example necessarily because it's a good movie, but I recently rewatched Monster with Charlize Theron, and the makeup is very good and her performance is very good, but you definitely still have this awareness that it's Charlize Theron under there who looks amazing and is trying to, but there's other, there's certainly, or when, some actor gains weight and you're like, oh my God, they gained 20 pounds and now they just look normal or whatever.
All right. Fair enough.
So, had you seen this one before, Jason?
No, I had seen Great Expectations, the David Lean movie. Have you ever seen that, Josh?
I have not. I think I read Great Expectations, and I've seen other versions. I've seen the Alfonso Cuarón version that I quite enjoy, but I haven't seen his version.
I thought it'd be better.
Oh, that's a classic joke.
That is the classic. I don't even recall watching the movie. I was probably in high school, but I just like that joke. But yeah, I mean, that was one of the reasons I was leaning in on Brief Encounter. I mean, obviously, I know its reputation as one of the great romance films of all time, but David Lean, Bergman was kind of a blind spot before. I had seen one or two of his movies, but yeah, I really wanted to cover this one.
Did you ever perform in a Noel Coward play during your time?
I don't think I did. That would have been something interesting. In college, I think I could have, as long as they didn't make us do accents. I could have done something shaky, but I think you could obviously play the characters honestly without the accents,
it's not necessary. I don't think so. I mean, you could easily have this doesn't have to be a British story necessarily.
Yeah, it's just the kind of like you said, the stiff upper lip and the repressed nature of it is very British.
That is true. But I mean, I feel like, even if it's more common for people to just leave their spouses or whatever now, it's still something that is relatable. I mean, people are often in marriages where they feel like they're sort of trapped, but they don't want to leave, or they feel like they shouldn't leave. So I think there's still, it's still identifiable today.
Yeah.
So,
right, Dave?
I had not seen this either. What?
Oh, no, I was asking Dave about being trapped in a marriage that he couldn't leave.
You're really pushing Dave on this.
Yeah.
I feel like it's unfair because he's the only married one.
He's the married guy. I got to ask him these questions. So,
Yeah.
Gina doesn't like the Coen brothers. What do you expect?
Oh,
that's true. What if you met a Coen brothers fan while you were on the train and you really hit it off?
This episode is dangerous.
So I had not seen this one either. I've also seen some David Lean. Like I said, I've seen Blithe Spirit, which is a David Lean and Noel Coward collaboration that's very lighthearted, that involves a ghost and some wacky misunderstandings, and it's fun. I've seen The Bridge on the River Kwai as well, which is a great movie, one of the big epics that David Lean is known for, but had not seen this one. And I was with you. I think, when we were discussing which one we were going to do for this episode of all the Cannes winners, this I thought was a really good choice, and I'm glad to have watched it. So, like you said, filling in the blind spots a bit on these major filmmakers.
We're romantics at heart, Josh. So, we gotta
keep saying this. Yeah.
I'm saying it. I mean it.
All right.
I'm a romantic.
Dave, had you watched this one before?
Nope. I did not know anything really about it. So happy to find it.
You not heard of this very famous film?
No, I hadn't heard of it. And then I didn't even realize as I was watching it that, I saw Lawrence of Arabia. I've seen that. So
okay.
So I didn't realize it was the same person at all. So
I watched Lawrence of Arabia this week, which is about an ongoing military campaign. And the movie's so long, I felt like they shot it in real time. But the amazing thing about that movie is it's so long, but every part of it is so good. Like it's an absolute bona fide all-time classic. Really loved it. All 3 hours and 42 minutes of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really ought to commit my time to doing that and watching that movie too, because as you said, it's a classic. And having really liked The Bridge on the River Kwai, I feel like, Lean's epic approach is something that I would appreciate. So
those are the two he won Best Director and Best Picture for.
And the two certainly that are, I mean, this movie is very famous, but I mean, those are the two that are up there, that people generally are familiar with.
I think this is right there, dude. I think this one as well. I mean, this is, so, like you're saying, those are two epics, and this is just a brief encounter, if you will. But no, I mean, it's just so romantically taught that I think people really would consider this right up there with those two.
Yeah, I mean, certainly if you ever see lists of the greatest romantic films or things like that, or people make romances, even now, especially about that kind of repression or forbidden romance, this is something that comes up over and over again. So that is definitely.
I mean, again,
Dave had not heard of it.
An absolute legend. We haven't even mentioned like Dr. Zhivago or A Passage to India, Oliver Twist, all the other. But I did find a quote from Michael Srargo. Do you know that film critic, Josh?
Oh, Michael, I think it's Srargo, maybe?
Yeah. He said, Lean is a director's director whose total mastery of film craft commands nothing less than awe among his peers, which I think is true, knowing all the fans he has as, major directors.
Yeah, I mean, and you talk about like this film, and just what we're mentioning, this film versus those epics, I mean, they're very, very different, but they're put together with the same kind of craftsmanship. And he's able to approach that very different material with the same level of care and professionalism and knowing exactly what to do with a Noel Coward play or this giant historical story.
I think it, like, that look, like I said, the steam in the train station and that kind of like griminess of the middle class world that you don't always get a look at, I just think really worked.
Yeah. So anything else you want to say about the background of this film?
Dave, has Gina seen this movie?
No, she has not seen this movie.
Mm-hmm. The cracks are forming, Josh.
Oh, boy.
Cracks are forming.
All right. No, they got to watch some Lifetime movies instead. That's what they're going to be doing together.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll come back and talk some more general thoughts on Brief Encounter. Welcome back to Awesome Movie Year. In this episode of our season on the films of 1946, we are talking about one of the Cannes Film Festival Grand Prix winners, David Lean's Brief Encounter. And I mean, we've talked a lot about various positive aspects of this film, but I mean, I think, Jason, your emphasis on the technical aspects is important because this is such a simple story and it's based on a play. It's dialogue driven or narration driven, but it does look beautiful. And there's some great things that David Lean does here with lighting. I mean, there's moments where there's like a spotlight on Celia Johnson's face and everything around her goes dark as you realize she's having these moments of kind of existential crisis. I loved the time when she's in the train after, I think, one of their first meetings, and she talks about how she imagined the life that they could have. And we see all these glimpses like through the window of them together, dancing and going on a boat, ship voyage and all of these things that they could do if they'd met at another time. And it's very visual. And even just the expressions on the actors' faces to understand the emotions and not through dialogue. There's so much of that. And that all comes through via the direction.
Yeah. I mean, he's an absolute master. And also, like we're talking about, right? Like the repression is probably almost harder to play than if they were just doing that, chase through the airport, like expressing grand romantic gesture towards each other, right? Because it's all about what they're not able to do. And they do say things to each other, but you can still tell they're holding so much back, right? Like it's just like a really tightly wound coil that's ready to spring out, and it doesn't because of the times and the choices that people make. But I think the technical merit is also reflected in the writing with how clear these characters are and what each of them is going through. And, it's very clear, what they feel the whole time.
Yeah. And it's interesting. Unlike Dave, I did know like the basics of what this movie was about, but I assumed when it starts with Celia Johnson's narration that we were going to kind of go back and forth and get both perspectives. And I thought it was really interesting that it was solely told from her perspective, but you do understand the emotions of both characters. And I think because of kind of what we were talking about before in the position of women in British society at this time, and now obviously too, that there's more complexity to her character and how she has to deal with the situation. And so really situating the story within her perspective the whole time, I thought was really effective.
I think so too. And the other thing about that is that first scene, which you don't realize for a while, and especially when it comes back at the end, is their last meeting, is like when you kind of see it the second time, it takes on that whole new meaning because you're watching it at first and you're just getting your bearings on the movie. And then you see it again after everything that's happened. And you're like, oh, this is pretty genius how this was structured.
Yeah, I mean, and it's clear in that first scene, even if you don't know what the movie is, that there's something going on between these two and this busybody woman who Celia Johnson knows from, the town where she lives, shows up and just starts blabbing about her shopping trip and whatever. And it's clear that she's intruding on this private moment, but you don't know all the details of it. And I do think that that works really well. And that's something that movies do a lot, I think, and sometimes it can be a cheap way of goosing the audience or whatever, like, oh, look here, now we're going to go back, we've enticed you with this moment, but that's not how this is at all. It's really to show you the emotional depth of that moment after you've seen everything else that happened.
Right, exactly, because you don't know at the time that this is their last meeting. This is the last time that they're going to see or speak to each other. And they don't even say like, hey, can you just leave us alone for 20 minutes so we can, he's leaving tomorrow or whatever, So like, again, it's all those kind of societal standards and all that stuff. One thing that I wasn't sure of is, they're going out, they're having fun, and they're in this restaurant and they're laughing at this cello player. And I wasn't sure why they were laughing at the cello player.
I mean, I guess she was supposed to be kind of bad, but I don't know enough about cello playing to really kind of get that. And because, that's a whole bit. They laugh and then they go to the movies afterwards and they realize that she's also the organist at the
movies. Which is fun. I get that. Yeah.
It's this kind of little private joke to them. And then you get it back at like later on, Laura goes to Celia Johnson's character. She goes to the restaurant by herself after they've kind of decided to part. And the same cello player is there. And she's like, oh, I thought this was funny before, but now it's just sad, just kind of pathetic that this lady is a mediocre cellist and is playing, in a string quartet at this little restaurant or whatever. So I think that's the idea. But I didn't get that. She wasn't bad enough for me to be able to hear that she was bad. I don't know. Dave, you're a musician. Did you understand that?
No, I just thought it was some weird old-timey inside joke. I did not get it. So, yeah.
All right. I mean, that's kind of what I thought, Jason. I don't know what you took away from it.
I'm going to make a call to Yo-Yo Ma. I'll get back to you.
Okay. Yeah. Evaluate the cello playing.
Well, since we're talking about music, I mean, this is all scored with Rachmaninoff, and it's really, really good, man. Obviously, he's a legendary composer, but the angst that music adds to everything is incredibly effective.
Yeah, and it's not overwrought. This is a movie about these really intense emotions, even if they're repressed. And I feel like a score could, maybe a lesser director could decide if the emotions are being repressed by the characters, we need to have the score express those emotions very strongly so the audience understands. And that's not what's going on here before. And Jason, I mean, you mentioned The Go-Between, and I feel like that also had a fantastic score that we talked about that wasn't overdone and that captured that feeling of repressed emotion.
Yeah, I just want to spotlight the one difference, which is that The Go-Between was a score written for the film, and this is they're taking music from whatever years and years before, and it just fits kind of perfectly with what's going on.
Yeah, no, that is absolutely true. The Piano Concerto No. 2 is the piece by Rachmaninoff. So, Dave, what did you think of the music here?
No, I thought it definitely helped, accent what they're going through, and it fits really well.
Yeah.
Josh, what emotions are you repressing currently?
Oh, so many emotions. You don't even want to know.
Just start with the one that's most affecting you.
No, I think I'm good. My only emotion is enjoyment at this podcast. That's the only emotion that I need here.
Whew,
so
excellent.
Yeah. Should we talk about the other romance in this film? The refreshment room.
Kind of fun. Kind of a fun little bit, you know.
Yeah.
I guess in the play they're more aware of this kind of affair that the two leads are having, and in this one, it's the woman behind who's running the little cafe and the kind of would you call him a train stop? I don't even know what he is. He's like the bellhop of the trains or whatever, right? Like
the station agent, perhaps.
Oh yeah, that works. I've seen that film.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they have like fun little dialogue, and he's always flirting with her, and she's always being like the proper British, get out of here. This is not your station, and that, but it's a nice little thing. And then at the end, as you see our main characters have to break apart, you see these two come together to really drive it home.
Right. I mean, and they, in a way, don't have to worry about the societal limitations because the woman is Mrs., right? They always call her that. And at one point, she talks about her husband, how she left him, and then he dropped dead 3 years later. And so now she's a widow, I guess, sort of. So she's free, but she also had left the husband beforehand. And the man, I don't know, the station agent guy, I believe he's just single. I don't know if we ever get a discussion of that specifically. But they're clearly able to do what they want. And there's definitely at least one reference to like, oh, remember what happened last night? Wink, wink. So, I mean, they're getting it on, whereas our main characters cannot.
I told you could do that accent.
Well, that's the lower class British accent. Yeah. Perhaps I'm better. I don't know. I'm not good at any of them.
Yeah, I mean, the other side character, and it was an interesting scene, is the other doctor, right, who gives Trevor Howard the key to his apartment because he's, working at the hospital for him. And then he invites Celia up, and the guy comes home early and he finds her scarf, and they have a interesting confrontation, I think.
Yeah, because on the one hand, the other guy is like, oh, you're using my apartment to have an affair. Like, that's cool. I never would have expected it, but hey, whatever. It's not my business. But then also Trevor Howard at one point says like, oh, well, I guess you must think less of me now. And the guy is basically like, yeah, I do think less of you. So, I mean, it's on the one hand, it's this boys will be boys thing that we're kind of mentioning before, that like a married man could have a mistress and use his friend's vacant apartment to have an affair, and that was all cool. But also maybe it's frowned upon, or maybe like you should have been better at keeping it a secret and not letting me discover what was going on here. Yeah. So it is a strange scene. Yeah.
Josh, you frowned upon my illicit actions in your old apartment with one of my ex-girlfriends. I remember that.
You know what? I will stand by that when, I did not expect you to be, you had your own apartment at that time. You were not married.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I just, passions took over. We ignited your carpet.
Yeah. Dave, come on. Tell me, back me up here.
I've
learned a lot about you two's friendship over the years. That's all I'll say.
Like I said, Josh, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just personalizing, how we can relate to this film together.
Right. I wasn't morally disapproving of your conduct in that instance. I was just, hygienically preferring it not to occur in my apartment.
I mean, yeah, we weren't hygienically unsound there, Josh. But
I know, but it's just it wasn't my preference.
No, I understand. I
don't live there anymore. I had to move out, so
yeah. It's all good. I'm gonna bring my Kumar over to your new place.
No, please don't. I hope your daughter is listening to this discussion from the other room. But I mean, it's also interesting, though. You were pointing out another, a difference in the play where the other couple is aware of this affair and comments on it, and that doesn't happen in the movie. But also in the play, it seems like it's more possible that Alec and Laura could have had sex in this guy's apartment.
Yeah.
And in the film, they absolutely, definitely did not. The guy arrives way too soon for anything to have happened. And I think some of that is, this is a British film, but if they want to release it in the US, they have to adhere to the production code standards. And so, being on the safe side, it's already about an extramarital affair. It already encountered some of that controversy and was censored in certain ways. But if it was clear in the film that they had consummated that affair, then there's probably no way that this would have been released in the US.
I think that's a fair statement. I also want to go back because while the our kind of minor characters who are working at the station don't ever reference it, I mean, they're seeing these two together every Thursday and they're seeing the way they look at each other. Maybe they're just not talking about it as opposed to being oblivious to it.
Right. I mean, and you have to wonder, even the Dolly Messiter, the busybody woman who shows up and sits down and just starts blabbing the whole time. Like, does she not realize? I mean, maybe she doesn't because she's clearly extremely self-involved.
Right.
But does she not realize what's going on? And there's the other scene where they encounter one of Laura's friends and someone that she's with, I don't remember if it was like her cousin or her mother-in-law or something that she's with at the restaurant that they go to. And Laura has to go through this whole charade of being like, oh yes, of course, this is Dr. So-and-so. I've known him and his wife for years. Don't you remember? I'm sure you've met before. And that's a scene where clearly everyone knows what's really going on, but for the sake of propriety, they have to pretend. But that's one of the moments too where I think Laura realizes, like, okay, we can't do this. I can't possibly keep this up. Look at these lies that I'm having to tell, and no one's going to believe me. And this woman knows that I'm having an affair.
Yeah, I wouldn't have believed her. It was a terrible. Yeah, you guys definitely met at this Christmas party. No, we didn't.
Right.
I'm sure you did.
He doesn't even back her up. He doesn't say like, oh yeah, I do remember. He's like, no, I don't think we've met before.
Yeah, exactly. A charade indeed, Josh. A charade.
Yeah. So, I mean, but I think it's all part of that middle class, propriety or keeping up appearances, because before that, she has asked this woman to lie for her to cover up the reason that she was late, that she was spending time with Alec. But of course, she can't say, hey, I'm with my, side piece here. Can you help me out? She has to make up a different lie to tell this woman so that she'll get the woman to cover for her with the husband. And it all just seems almost unnecessary, especially because the husband is either oblivious or just accepting.
Yeah. Or maybe he's got his own thing going on that we don't know about.
Maybe. Mm-hmm. I feel like also, polyamory would solve all the problems for these people.
You always make that argument.
I mean, it's not untrue, right? I mean, right? Because like, in a way, this is the thing, right? They all believe, well, I have to stay with my spouse, even though there's no passion in our relationship, because it's the stability of it. And we have the children. And of course, that's not insignificant. And we do see some of her interactions with her children, and she wants to be a good mother, and she cares about them and doesn't want to disrupt their lives. And presumably Alec feels the same way about his family, even though we never see them. But, if they were just an open relationship, they could have all the passion they wanted with each other and still have their stable family relationships.
Yeah. I mean, they have big things to decide. Do we take the kids to the circus or the pantomime, Josh? So there's a lot going on that's really, really affecting these decisions.
Yeah. I mean, and then Alec's going to move his family to Africa, and maybe he's going to hang out with Dror.
Yeah.
What was his name?
Bror.
There you go.
Yeah.
They're all gonna.
It all comes full circle.
It so does. So, should we rate this out of five trains?
5 brief encounters, Josh. Come on, man.
There you go.
All right. Yeah, I think they might have only had 5. So, well, the thing about, I should mention, I feel like ever since seeing The Naked Gun, I cannot watch a train without assuming that it is symbolically representative of penetration. So, and I don't think that I'm wrong about that. I mean, again, they don't actually have sex, but there is some sexual aspect to the train imagery, perhaps.
Yeah, I think that's been done not just in The Naked Gun, but a lot of times. So 3.5. It's a lovely like I said, tight romantic piece that leaves everyone unhappy.
Yeah, gotta love an unhappy ending. So I'm going to give it 3.5 brief encounters as well. I think maybe for some people, this is really more emotionally overwhelming. I didn't feel that as much as.
We don't have those capabilities.
Yeah. You just said we were romantics like multiple times, and now you're saying we have no emotions. But some movies that it's influenced, like I'm sure we'll talk later, but like the Before trilogy and things.
Yeah, that's the number one thing that I think.
Yeah, and that to me is like that. I'll cry at those movies every time, but this one not so much. But still, it's very good. 3.5 brief encounters from me. Dave, how do you rate this?
I'm also going with 3.5. And I just wanted to mention really quick, you mentioned earlier about how we thought that these actors were so much older, and how funny it is to see them just getting such a kick out of Donald Duck. And I thought that they were like in their late 50s or early 60s or something when I was watching this. And
how did they have young children? How did you think
that guy looks so old? That guy looks easily 58. Like
I don't agree with you, but so. I just think he's got a very mature, serious manner to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I was surprised to learn that he was 32, but I would have not pegged him as 58.
Oh, way older than me. I look way better than that dude. So
okay. Well, that's fair. But as I said on Letterboxd, I feel like you're underestimating how middle-aged we all really are here.
Perhaps.
It's nice to think that we're all youthful, but we're not.
Perhaps.
So we'll come back and talk about the legacy of Brief Encounter. Welcome back to Awesome Movie Year. In this episode of our season on the films of 1946, we are talking about David Lean's Brief Encounter, one of the Grand Prix winners from the first ever Cannes Film Festival. And we've talked a lot already here about Lean's career. He's a major director, and this was, earlier in his career, he went on to make some of these massive, popular epics. That's really what he's known for. I feel like if people mention that name, you usually think of that. Lawrence of Arabia, The Bridge on the River Kwai, A Passage to India, Dr. Zhivago. And Jason, you watched Lawrence of Arabia this week, and I got to watch. I feel like that's something that, I know you watched it at home, but if you can see that in the theater,
I would have
do it
100%. That's literally the first epic swooping scene. I mean, you could argue the first scene in the movie is that, right? It's a kind of a motorcycle, ride, but it's no doubt you got to see that in the theater. And I would go see it again at 3 hours and 42 minutes in the theater. It's so good. And he is the master of the epic. Also, Peter O'Toole gives one of the great performances in film history in that film. So, I mean, but you got you look at the guys Lean's collaborating with, right? It's Peter O'Toole, it's Alec Guinness, it's Omar Sharif, right? It's Anthony Quinn. It's all these heavy hitters throughout his career. So I just, the best thing you can say, when you are starting to watch someone's catalog is oh, I want to watch more because of what I've seen already. And that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would like to see Lawrence of Arabia, and maybe I'll find a way to watch it on a big screen. But, if not, I'd certainly watch it at home. And The Bridge on the River Kwai, which I watched at home, is another one that certainly looks, I'm sure, amazing to see in a theater, but is fantastic. And, the climax of that is one of the great action set pieces ever. And Alec Guinness is fantastic in that movie.
Yeah, he won the Oscar for that, I think, right?
Probably. I don't know. I didn't look that up, but that I would believe it. He was excellent in that film. So I also watched I didn't have time for Lawrence of Arabia, or I didn't devote the time for Lawrence of Arabia this week, but I did watch another David Lean movie based on a famous play that is about a forbidden romance that involves train stations. And that is Summertime from 1955 with Katharine Hepburn as this kind of awkward American solo traveler who goes to Venice and has a brief affair, a brief encounter, if you will, with this Italian married shopkeeper. And that's quite good. I think I liked it almost as much as this. It's beautiful. I mean, it's in color, and they shot it on location in Venice. And the romance doesn't even come in really until half an hour or more into the movie. And it's just this lovely travelogue. And she's great as this character. It's a great character study because she's just this socially awkward person who's she's actually middle-aged. I think she was like 48 when they made the film. And, she's been single all her life and she hasn't found love and she doesn't know what she's looking for. So I would recommend that, as another very well-made David Lean romance film.
Okay, I accept.
All right. Good deal. Thank you. So this film, Brief Encounter, was remade in 1974, starring Sophia Loren and Richard Burton, which sounds interesting, but it seems to have a very poor reputation.
Right. So, it is not supposed to be good at all. Also, Josh, not supposed to be good is the 1961 television remake of it starring Dinah Shore and Ralph Bellamy. However,
I was trying to find something about that, and that was actually just an episode of the Dinah Shore show, which was like a variety show. And so I wonder if they kind of condensed the story in order to do it as just like a set piece or something on the Dinah Shore show. It doesn't seem like anything that is available to watch or people have watched. I don't know. The 74 version is, I was almost, if it had a better reputation, I might have tried to watch it. It's on like Tubi and Roku channel and stuff. But that Dinah Shore episode seems to have been kind of lost.
I think we should go to the Houston Opera where they adapted this into an opera.
Yeah, there have been many different versions of that. I mean, of course, it's based on a play, but the movie is so well known that later stage adaptations, a couple different ones in the 90s and the 2000s, which blend the play and then the screenplay, add those that extra scenes and things that Lean had added for the film. There were multiple radio adaptations in the 1940s, which is a common thing for movies from this era. So, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me to see another remake of this now.
Yeah, I think like you said, Before Sunrise especially is this in the 90s and is a home run, as we all love that movie. So I could see it, but I also don't need to see it.
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying that I want it, but I mean, I feel like it's the kind of thing that is timeless. I mean, even if it's specific to this British upper class or British middle class society at the time, the overall idea about forbidden romance and passions and responsibility versus love and romance is timeless. It really is.
Everything is timeless, Josh, if you look at time as not a flat circle.
Okay, sure.
Robert Krasker, the director of photography, is the first Australian-born cinematographer to win an Academy Award and in 1951. And he was also the DP on one of our favorite noirs ever, Carol Reed's The Third Man.
Yeah, The Third Man is fantastic. Trevor Howard is in The Third Man.
He is.
He was a very successful actor, mostly in British film and TV. Worked again with David Lean on Ryan's Daughter, which is another epic, but is the one of his epics that is not very well regarded.
Yeah, it took such a toll on him. He took like a 14-year break before he made A Passage to India afterwards.
Yeah, it seems like a shame because then after that, I think A Passage to India was a big success, but ended up being his final film because he couldn't get anything else off the ground. But Trevor Howard was in Superman and Gandhi later in his career, was nominated for an Oscar for Sons and Lovers. Celia Johnson, also very prolific stage, film, TV. She had worked with David Lean on In Which We Serve and This Happy Breed, his previous Noel Coward adaptation. And we talked about her in our episode on The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie, where she plays the stern headmistress who is not standing for any of Miss Jean Brodie's antics.
That is true. She has a BAFTA for Best TV Actress for Play for Today. And then I marked down Mrs. Palfrey at the Claremont, but I only marked that down because that is influenced by this film, Brief Encounter.
Oh, there you go. Yes. I mean, its influence is in so many places. So this is not really important, but I did note this down given our seasonal theme of cousin fucking, that David Lean's first wife, he was married, I think 6 times, but his first wife was his first cousin.
Well, I can beat that with an even crazier stat, Josh. Yeah. Margaret Barton, who played Beryl, the tea room assistant, on August 30th, 2018, at age 92, married Robert Cave at age 91, Their combined age of 183 was believed to make them Britain's oldest newlyweds. And in March of this year, she turned 100.
Oh, it's the husband.
May of this year. I don't know, but they had a good run.
No, that's lovely. That's good for them. Good for them. I feel like that's a movie that should be made. The Brief Encounter of the 90-year-olds.
I like that.
Yeah. Let's have that.
Oh yeah.
The one other actor I noted, Stanley Holloway, who plays the station agent, was known for his comedic songs and monologues, was a very popular stage actor, and his signature role as Alfred P. Doolittle in My Fair Lady. On stage, he also appeared in that film and was nominated for an Oscar for that one.
And a Tony for that role. But he did not play Henry Higgins.
No, he did not.
As Corky St. Clair would say.
And as they say in the film.
Yeah.
But Noel Coward also, again, he was at this time the biggest name involved in this and continues to be one of the most renowned playwrights of all time, really, I would think. Was a screenwriter, was an actor. Multiple plays of his were adapted into films. Designed for Living is a favorite of mine, is a fantastic movie and is about a throuple. A very, very forward-thinking work there in the 1930s to be about that.
Hey, if we get 5 new Patreon subscribers, I'll do one of the one acts on the Patreon.
Just by yourself playing?
I mean, you wouldn't do it with me, so I'd find an actor to do it with me.
Oh, okay. All right.
You can read stage direction if you want.
You can have a brief encounter with yourself. I think that would be pretty fascinating.
Tell me you feel the same way. Well, I do. I can't really say much else.
Beautiful. Really.
Thank you.
Just stunning work. So
yeah, I feel good about it.
Anything else you want to say about the legacy of this film?
I mean, it's just one you got to watch, man. Come on, get to it, dummies.
Yeah, it's 85 minutes. If I understand. I mean, I was this way also, obviously, this week. If something like Lawrence of Arabia seems too daunting, but this is a very short, easy watch and is just beautiful. So I agree. People should check it out. And they should check us out online and on social media.
Yeah, they should. We have a new website. It's Awesome Movie Pod, and it works. Jason Harris Comedy or Jay Harris Comedy on all the things. Go for Jason on Letterboxd, which you'll be longing for every time I post a review. When are you going to post the next one? I'm longing for it. I need a brief encounter with your Letterboxd.
Yeah, that's how I feel definitely about that. So I'm just stunned there. You can find some old things from me at joshbellhateseverything.com. I'm at Josh Bell Hates Everything on Facebook, at Signal Bleed on Blue Sky, and on Letterboxd. And if you're on Letterboxd and you watch this movie, as you should, or any of the movies we talk about on the show, tag your review Awesome Movie Year. We would love to know what you think. We did get a couple recent tags, so keep them coming. Happy to hear from everyone on Letterboxd about your thoughts on the movies that we discuss. And check out our producer, David Rosen's awesome podcast, Piecing It Together.
Check out Piecing It Together wherever you listen to podcasts and follow us on social media at Piecing Pod.
Jason, what's in our next episode?
Well, Josh, these train stations might be dark, but our documentary pick isn't, because it's called Let There Be Light. I know nothing about it, so that's the best I can do.
I believe the subject matter is in fact quite dark, but we'll get to that. So tune in next time for Let There Be Light. And thanks for listening to Awesome Movie Year.
Thank you for listening to Awesome Movie Year. Make sure to follow Awesome Movie Year on Facebook, at Awesome Movie Pod on Twitter, and at Awesome Movie Year on Instagram. And if you like the show, review us and rate us with 5 stars on Apple Podcasts.
An All Points West production, produced by David Rosen in Las Vegas.
Sorry, Scarlett, I ran out of stuff. Bye. It was one time, man. Come on, I'm doing my podcast.
What is she mad about?
I took her conditioner because I ran out of body wash. So, that's like...
You used her conditioner for body wash?
I'm on Team Scarlett here, to be honest.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think that,
let's just get back to the fucking podcast.
Okay.